Today we're going to make the earrings with the amazing rose quartz we've got and the microfaceted tourmaline, stunning gemstones, with some sheet metal, sheet copper, and some 0.6 bare copper wire. So the option is there to patina it if you want to. So what do we need? We need something to deaden the blows of the whammer. We need some sort of steel block or anvil. Needle file to file the edges, very important because it is very sharp when you've cut it. Some cutters, or you can use a jeweler's saw if you've got one. Some punches, or you can drill the holes if you haven't got a punch. And of course our whammer. Now this is the deluxe whammer. I've got the dapping head on, and the steel, concave steel head is fixed. So we, out of the 4 extra heads, I've used the dapping head. So let's get cracking. Move all of these out of the way. If you can get a steel block, you're better with a steel block for doing these things. Couldn't put my hand on mine. Right, cutting out. So we want this trapezoid shape, I suppose. So you want to cut at a slight angle and then cut across. Now what I would recommend, so this has come out slightly bigger, what I would recommend is you straight away put that the other way round, cut across and then down so that you get them the same size. So it doesn't matter what size they are so long as they're the same. Now I would trim off the corners. Just take the tips off the corners. I'm going to do that one. Be very careful where you put the little bits because they're all sharp. Just as a point, then that is razor sharp. So do be very careful with your spare bits of sheet. Put them in a Tupperware or some such plastic container, or dispose of them carefully. So once you've cut off all the corners, I'll go to one I've already chopped. Then start filing. So this is where your file comes in. You're going to file all the way round. Now I like to do quite a long stroke and sort of go over. Some people will do all one side and then turn it. I tend to do it like that and then over, so that that becomes a nice rounded edge. And of course where you've trimmed off, you're going to round down those corners. So you do all the edges so that that's smooth. Be careful testing it before you know it's smooth. Then we're going to texture it. So I've got a sandbag here. Now this table that I'm shooting on is likely to bounce a bit, so it'll be noisy. There we go. So I'm going to pop that in the middle of the table. And I'm using the dapping hammer to get this hammered effect all over. And I'm just starting and randomly working my way around all over these pieces. You don't have to, the whammer is so beautifully balanced that I'm not putting any force behind it. You don't have to, the weight is here, so if I try, I will not be able to do it, but actually it falls on its own because gravity is helping it, so it's really beautiful to use. So we're going to hammer all over, and you'll notice it'll start curving a bit. If you want to flatten it out again, then you can do. Pop the nylon hammer on the other side and just push it back into shape. But because I'm holding it, it's not doing it a lot. Now when you're hitting the edges, just go back over it to make sure you haven't created any sharp edges. So once you've got your 2 pieces, and I personally like both sides, you get a different textured effect on each side. This is the traditional side. Obviously you can patina this. Once you've done the 2 sides, then you're going to need to punch the holes. Now, to punch the holes, whatever punch you use, we've got some of the others. The turn ones are great, especially if you've got dexterity issues, and you'll feel when they go very easily because it suddenly it builds up to a little bit of pressure, and then all of a sudden it'll go loose again, and that's when it's broken through. So I'm just going to hold this, and again Did you hear that little click? That's it going through. Now I've not positioned that very well. Be very careful that you don't get something like that. That's the first one I've done with these. That's, there we go. It's properly through. See a little bit. These are great, by the way, for putting in your metal clays and things like that. These little dabs, so keep those. Don't get rid of them. Okay, and then you want 3 along the bottom, 1 in the middle and 1 either side. If you want to measure them, then go ahead, or you can do them freehand. Just be careful, because I measured mine against the other and it was slightly different, hence that one came too close to the edge, so it became a demo piece. So once you've got your 3 holes in, let's put that last bit in. The back will be rough, okay, so just be aware of that. Either sand it, or if you go back to your hammer, if you actually hammer the back, what you'll do is you'll push that down, but always be aware you're going to have rough edges on the back when you do it. Okay, so that is the main part of your earring, and that's using the dapping head of the whammer. We're now going to use the rounded head, and this is where the whammer really comes into its own. I mean, Linda Jones, who designed it first to be used with wire. That was her predominant design for it. So I've cut 3 lengths of the 0.6 wire. Now if we put the beads on, I didn't want to have anything at the bottom of the beads. If you put the beads on, obviously they're just going to fall off. So what I've done is flattened the ends of this wire. So using the convex head, you're stroking it. So it's not a hit motion, it's a stroking motion. So, and again, it's not a massive bash. You're stroking it along, and it's going to go slower because this table's bouncing, which doesn't help. And you can you see how that's flattening? Okay, and that will give you enough, so you need to keep doing it. Now, whichever direction, I've been stroking it that way, it squashes the wire. If you think of a tube of toothpaste and you squeeze it in the middle, it'll push either side. If you squeeze it at the end and push it up, it sort of flattens that end. That's kind of what you're doing. You're flattening out the wire and pushing it. So if you then go sideways, you will push that wire broader and open it out a bit more. Now 0.6 is probably the limit to what you want to be doing with this. The other thing it does is it work hardens this, so you can bend the top of that wire quite easily. To bend this bit, it's exceedingly difficult, especially where I've got that slight curve. Okay, so once you've got that to the desired length, now what I would suggest you do is you cut the 3 different lengths. So I've got 3 different lengths on here. Cut the both lots at the same time. You can put your little loop in the top if you want straight away. No, you can't, because then you won't get your gemstone on. Don't put your loop in the top. Then pop a tourmaline on. Where are we? There we go. And these are brilliant for going on this wire. Then pop your rose quartz, then another tourmaline. Now I've actually picked a similar tone of tourmalines to go with it, so on these earrings they're sort of paler at the bottom and then the darker ones. And then with your round nose pliers, we're just going to pop a little loop. Now you want the flat facing forwards, so you want your loop to go away from the flat, not side to side. Okay, so it's a front to back loop, and then just kink it back to get that eye pin effect, and take a pair of flat nose or chain nose pliers. You're just going to twist that loop, pop it on your top part, close it, then pop an earring finding in the top, and your earrings are done.